Welcome to the Marist Fathers' 30th General Chapter in Rome. Here is a summary of the events. On September 16, 2025, we focused on the beginning of the 30th General Chapter. The capitulants made the journey to the Agentes Center in Nemi, just outside Rome, on Saturday afternoon. On Sunday, they were officially welcomed by the Superior General, and they spent time getting to know each other. Capitulants represent the 31 countries where the Marists are present. They are aged between 42 and 82, and they minister in a variety of ministries. There are 36 capitulants, 4 observers, 2 facilitators, and 9 auxiliary staff. Monday was a day of prayer and reflection, focusing on the theme with Mary at Pentecost. Father John Larson presented a retreat conference to the capitulants and posed personal and communal questions. Some of the themes were Mary in the spirit of compassion, Mary in the mission of the Holy Spirit, and Mary and the spirit of unity in the community. During the afternoon session guided by Miss Frances Heary, time was given to the capitulants to share hopes, desires, fears, and concerns, while Br. Joe M.C. Key reminded the assembly of aspects of synodality and deep listening, and of the importance of moving from being merely a delegate and becoming also a capitulant. In the evening, the solemn Mass of the Holy Spirit was presided over by Father John Larson, assisted by Father John Hannon and Father John Harhager. The liturgy of the Eucharist included an opening liturgy for the General Chapter, where each candidate was called individually by name and presented a candle. The Superior General formally constituted the chapter. There were universal prayers in 7 different languages, and each major superior presented a symbol of his unit with a brief commentary. On September 17, 2025, we focused on the first day of the chapter. The first morning of the General Chapter is traditionally dedicated to a number of organizational procedures. Election of the President of the Chapter. Father John Larson was elected as the President of the Chapter. Election of the Steering Committee. The Assembly elected the members of the Steering Committee, FRS Juan Carlos Pina, Tim Duckworth, Martin M.C. Anani, and Tony Kennedy, who will be the chair. They work with the President of the Chapter and the 2 facilitators. Ordo Capituli and acceptance of facilitators and auxiliary staff. The draft Ordo Capituli, which regulates the process of the General Chapter, was accepted, and so were the facilitators, secretaries, support staff, and translators. It was agreed that Ben M.C. Kenna will be the secretary for the chapter. Thilo Saft and David Sanchez were appointed as scrutineers. Unit reports. In the afternoon, the capitulants started discussing the unit reports. The reports provided the capitulants with insights into the life and mission of the society in each Marist unit, and engaged the assembly in a deeper reflection and discernment on the movements of the Spirit within our society. Each capitulant was requested to study all the individual unit reports in their own time. Questions were posed by the facilitators, which helped capitulants, working in groups, to draw out significant themes emerging from the reports. On September 18, 2025, we focused on reports. In the morning, the chapter continued its reflections on the unit reports. The capitulants received reports on education, governance, legislation, and on the work of the 3 commissions, interreligious and interfaith dialogue, migrants, and ecology. Further reflection and discussion on these reports will come later. In the afternoon, Father Pat Brophy, the Bursar General, presented the finance report in a plenary session. Fr. John Larson thanked all those involved in finance in the Society of Mary. He expressed special gratitude to Fr. John Harhager, who has carried out the work of General Bursar until December of last year. His solid contribution to the setup of a healthy financial structure for the Society was warmly acknowledged by the whole Assembly. On September 19, 2025, we focused on the chapter participants meet the Pope yesterday. The capitulants were warmly received by Pope Leo XIV in the Clementine Hall of the Apostolic Palace. The Holy Father addressed the religious congregations currently gathered in Rome for their chapters and assemblies, offering words of encouragement and guidance. Pope Leo invited all religious men and women to remain deeply faithful to their founding charisms while remaining attentive to the signs of the times. He underlined 3 essential dimensions of consecrated life: community life as the heart of vocation, obedience as an expression of love, and openness to the needs of the present. In recalling the legacy of the founders, among them Father Jean-Claude Collin, the Pope highlighted their courage, discernment, and creativity in responding to the challenges of their era. He reminded all present that this same openness is vital today, to recognize God's call in the poverty and struggles of our brothers and sisters, just as the founders once did. At the conclusion of his address, Pope Leo greeted the Superior Generals personally. Far. John Larson, Superior General of the Marist Fathers, expressed gratitude to the Holy Father and reaffirmed the willingness of the Marist family to place its charism at the service of the Church's mission. A group photo with the Pope and his apostolic blessing crowned this memorable encounter. After this inspiring moment with the Vicar of Christ, the capitulants returned to Nemi for an evening of prayer and fraternal sharing, preparing to resume the work of the chapter the following day. On September 20th, 2025, we focused on discussing reports yesterday. Morning, Father Martin MC Nemi presented the review of international formation. The report, Formation, Discerning the Needs of Our Time, summarizes a review of the international formation communities over the last 4 years, as mandated by the Superior General. The review was conducted by a team drawing on their own formation experiences, and aimed to identify strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement in light of the Society of Mary's mission, and with a special focus on multiculturality and interculturality. The capitulants spent the rest of the day discussing each of the 6 reports that had been presented so far: education, governance, the Bursar General's report, the 3 commissions, legislation, and the formation review. Each table spent time in reflecting, listening, and sharing in a synodal and prayerful way in order to come up with 3 key insights. These insights were shared later by each table with the whole group. The outcomes will now be collated and will provide the assembly with material for further discernment and some decisions in the next 2 weeks. On Saturday morning, the Superior General will present his report, and Sunday will be a free day. The next news sheet will be sent on Monday. On September 22, 2025, we focused on the Superior General's report and a free day. On Saturday morning, Father John Larson presented his report to the capitulants. He invited them to focus on some key issues raised in his report: the importance of the 3 holy doors, the Missio Dei, and prayer as the heart of mission, community as mission and being community for mission, the omniscientes communities as a model for all Marist communities, the need of formation for mission and governance for mission. After the presentation of the report, capitulants were invited to take some time in personal and prayerful reflection. After that, the 7 working groups gathered and shared thoughts and responses. They concluded the morning with an open plenary session. In the afternoon, the chapter spent time reflecting on the signs of our times. In particular, they focused on our world and our church, and pondered what they are asking of us today. Sunday was a free day. Some delegates went to Rome, while others visited the beautiful Laudato Si Gardens of the papal residence at Castel Gandolfo, which is very close to Nemi's sea picture. Today, Monday, the chapter continues its work, while we celebrate Father John Larson's birthday. On September 23, 2025, we focused on chapter commissions. The chapter opened this week in a spirit of prayerful discernment, continuing its reflection on the realities of our world and the life of the Church in these challenging times. The guiding question before the capitulants was both simple and profound. What is the Spirit asking of the Society of Mary today, in fidelity to its charism and mission, and in response to the urgent and prophetic needs of our world? Building on last week's times of prayer and the reports on education, formation, finance, legislation, governance, the integrated commissions, the unit reports, and the Superior General's report, the Assembly work to identify the Society's key priorities for the years ahead. Inspired by the model of the first disciples, this synodal process seeks to discern how Marist can continue to serve the Church with renewed vision and generosity. After time for personal prayer and group dialogue, 5 central areas emerged as the focus of the chapter: governance and leadership, Marist, mission today, communion for mission, lay partners, and formation. To bring these priorities to life, commissions were established. Their members are entrusted with the task of study, dialogue, and proposing pathways that will inspire and guide the future direction of the Society. The members of the commissions are Marist Mission Today, Gerard Hall, Joe Hertuk, Mervyn Duffy, Lionel Macavez, Donato Kivi, Kevin Medillo, Pat Breeze, Jim Duffy. Formation: Thilo Saft, Martin Simna, Kevin Duffy, Albert Cabala, Renivaldo de Souza, Kevin Redmond, Ben MC Kenna, Stefano Mattielli. Communion for Mission: John Larson, Jacques Arguin, Jean-Marie Blocot, Joe Hindelang, Isake Vaisima, Mario Balland, Kevin Mowbray, Pedro Mateiratu. Lay partners: Martin MC Anani, Serenia Madijibuli, Tim Duckworth, Juan Carlos Pina, Saul Gonzalez, Milikiade Rayalu, Daniel Fernandez, Anne-Marie Salgo, John Hannon. Governance and Leadership: Pat Brophy, Jose Maria da Silva, Declan, Marmion, John Harhager, Tony Kennedy, David Sanchez, Ekwasi Manu. These commissions carry a mandate of hope, to bring fresh insight, creative energy, and faithful courage that will help orient the Society of Mary in the years to come. Their work will offer inspiration and direction to the new general administration, and encouragement for everyone. On September 24, 2025, we focused on ongoing work. The capitulants continued working in the different commissions throughout Tuesday. The work in the commissions helps the chapter to focus on important topics and to start outlining directions for the future of the society. Each commission is drafting some first texts, which will be brought to the plenary for further discernment and comments. It is likely that in the next days this will continue to be the main work of the chapter. In the afternoon, Father Ben MC Kenna presented a report on the cause of Father Colin. He outlined the work carried out in the past years, and the ongoing efforts to promote the cause of our founder. He thanked FRS Carlo Maria Xiangxi and Ron Nissen for their important contribution in this field. Translations to facilitate communication during the chapter among all delegates. Special attention is given to the interpretation and translation work. The team of interpreters is composed of Carla Bertana. She is a professional interpreter and has been collaborating for many years with the Marists at the previous general chapter, and also with the province of Europe. A group of confreres from Casa di Maria who have been following an interpreter's training during the past months are completing the team. They are Louis Cum and Joseph Ondua from Cameroon doing the French-English, and David Romero Vences and Eduardo Limon from Mexico doing the Spanish-English. On September 25, 2025, we focused on we heard from various testimonies. Yesterday, the capitulants were enriched by the testimonies of 2 of the 3 lay observers, each offering a glimpse of how the Marist spirit continues to inspire and bear fruit in different corners of the world, specifically with lay partnership and mission. From Fiji, Ms. Serenia Madijibuli shared her 38 years of mission in Tutu. Formed by Marists, she has dedicated herself to youth and married couples, helping them grow in responsibility, faith, and family life. For her, being Marist means more than devotion to Mary. It means being Mary's presence in rural villages, walking alongside families in their joys and struggles. She underlined the trust now placed in lay people, who now run the Tutu Center with commitment and fidelity, and reminded the chapter of the shared mission uniting lay and religious. Holiness, she said, takes different forms, whether with the Bible in a backpack or with cooking pots and children, but both paths bring life to the mission. From Mexico, Mr. Saul Gonzalez offered a moving reflection on community as the heart of Marist life. Drawing from his years of experience working with the Marist Fathers, he stressed that before being priests, Marists are brothers, called to fraternity in intercultural and international communities. He echoed Fr. Colin's call to truly love the children and recognize God's seeds already alive in the world. While institutions may face crises, the Spirit continues to guide step by step, rekindling the fire of Pentecost in our midst. Saul encouraged the chapter to remember that real change comes not only from decrees, but from living the call daily, rooted in God's compassion and the joy of belonging to Mary's family. He stressed the importance of everyday presence among the people. The capitulants welcomed these testimonies with gratitude, raising questions to clarify and affirm the insights shared. The day then continued with steady progress in the commission groups, where, following the synodal process, members prepared the first draft documents of their commissions. With the help of the plenary assembly, these documents will be further refined in the days ahead as part of the ongoing discernment for the life and mission of the Society. On September 26, 2025, we focused on listening, discerning, and setting directions. On Thursday morning, the chapter listened to Anne-Marie Salgo, who shared her personal Marist journey and offered reflections on being present at the chapter as a lay observer. She spoke of the importance of genuine dialogue within the Marist family, acknowledging both the challenges and the desire of lay Marists to contribute more fully to the mission. Some of the key points were the need for a clearer Marist identity and focus, so that the charism remains visible and relevant today. The call for stronger collaboration between religious and lay members in building a Marian church. The importance of discernment, to let go of what no longer serves the mission, and concentrate energies on what truly embodies Mary's presence. And above all, the shared vocation of religious and lay to be Mary's presence in the world. Her words encouraged the capitulants to reflect on how the Society of Mary can continue to walk with lay Marists in a spirit of closeness, dialogue, and shared mission. The capitulants then continued their intense work on the key areas. Each of the 5 commissions has now presented the first draft of their texts, which the members studied carefully before entering into small group discussions. With commitment and openness, the capitulants listened to one another, raised questions, and offered constructive feedback. Notes from these conversations were passed back to the commissions, ensuring that every voice could contribute to the refinement of the documents. This arduous process demonstrated a spirit of collaboration, engagement, and shared responsibility that animates the chapter. 2 additional commissions were also formed to support this common task. Finance Commission, FRS Pat Brophy, Isaac Vaisima, and Joe Hindelang. Legislative Commission, FRS Juan Carlos, John Harhager, and Tim Duckworth. On September 27, 2025, we focused on words of direction for the chapter and gratitude to the observers. Each morning of the chapter begins with prayerful reflection on the gospel, grounding the capitulants in the word, and opening their hearts to the Spirit's movement. On Friday, John Larson invited the assembly to reflect on 2 key challenges before resuming commission work, how to provide clear direction for leadership over the next 8 years while still allowing freedom and adaptation, and how to draw all confreres and mission partners more deeply into the movement of the Spirit. He encouraged that the chapter statements be clear, concise, and prophetic, attentive to the signs of the times based on scripture, tradition, and charism, and able to give both context and concrete directions. Before lunch, the chapter paused to thank the 3 lay observers, Serenia Madigibuli, Saul Gonzalez, and Anne-Marie Salgo, for their presence and contributions. The capitulants responded warmly, expressing gratitude for the gift of lay companions, the importance of collaboration, and the richness each observer brought, Nia's long-standing commitment to lay formation, Saul's reminder to prioritize presence among the people especially in the context of education, and Anne-Marie's leadership in evangelization and lay commitment. Their voices were received as a sign of hope and a call to renewed purpose and mission. The afternoon focused on the presentation of draft documents from the commissions to the whole assembly. With dedication and collaboration, capitulants worked to refine the content, shaping clearer directions for the future of the Society of Mary. Looking ahead, Sunday will be a day of rest, with some capitulants making a pilgrimage to Assisi. Preparations are also underway for a joyful moment of celebration, the perpetual profession of 6 confreres from Casa di Maria, to be held in Nemi on Tuesday, September 30th. On September 29, 2025, we focused on updating documents. On Saturday morning, the capitulants continued the work. From Friday hearing and responding to the work of the various commissions, they dealt with updated documents on lay partners, shared mission, with laity, governance, and leadership, and Marist mission today. After these discussions, the editing of the documents continued. Specific attention was given to make sure that the approved texts will provide a certain flexibility to respond to the rapidly changing demographics of the society. This will be particularly important for documents related to governance and leadership. In the afternoon, the Legislative and Finance Commissions presented their material for the first time. Proposed changes to the Decreta Capitularia and the constitutions were also presented and discussed. The last part of the day was dedicated to a brief introduction to the proposed Ordo Electionis, which will be presented for approval on Monday. The election process for general leadership is due to start on Wednesday. The election process for the Superior General will probably conclude on Thursday. This will be followed by the election of the General Councillors and the appointment of the Vicar General on Friday. The appointment process for the Vicar General was changed by the previous chapter with the introduction of the procedure as in Const. 201. Sunday was a free day. Some capitulants went to Assisi and took the occasion to visit the tombs of Saints Francis and Carlo Acutis. Others chose to stay in Nemi to have a rest day, which provided also the opportunity to visit the local area.